It's time now for our French Media Watch segment. For that, I'm joined by James Creedon. Hi there, James.
Good evening, Tom.
We're going to start with worries about the future of Libya after it was announced that Sharia law is to be applied to this newly liberated country.
That's right, and you can see online, on Twitter and elsewhere, that there's a lot of surprise at this decision. People are sort of shocked that the country was freed from Gaddafi only to see Sharia law applied. And you can see some of these tweets here. The first one we're looking at, it says, "We've overthrown Gaddafi to bring in democracy. So is Sharia the Declaration of Human Rights, or what's going on?" Somebody sort of, I suppose, being ironic, saying Sharia certainly isn't equivalent to the Declaration of Human Rights. Another person saying, well, what would Bernard-Henri Lévy, shortened to BHL, say when about Sharia law being applied in Libya? He, of course, was the French philosopher who was very active in convincing Nicolas Sarkozy to get involved. So I suppose he wouldn't necessarily have liked to see Sharia law applied. Now, what a lot of people are saying, including Alain Juppé, who is the French foreign minister, you can see it here on the Le Poste website, he's worried about it. He said this is a problem for us, in particular regarding the respect for the dignity of women. Elsewhere in Le Figaro, there is an interview with a terrorist networks specialist. He's a guy by the name of Mathieu Gudert. He's saying this is no surprise. The National Transitional Council said back in August that Sharia would be brought in, Sharia law. Also, remember back in 1993, after there was an attempted coup d'etat in Libya, Gaddafi himself brought in Sharia law, this as a means of, I suppose, outmaneuvering the Islamists who were responsible for that attempted coup d'etat. Also, Islamists were involved, or were central in the participation in the taking of cities such as Sirte, Benghazi, Tripoli, responsible in many ways for helping out in the Libyan revolution. So this is perhaps a way for the National Transitional Council to keep them involved, to send a positive signal to them. And what matters most of all is how it's applied, not the fact that it's being brought in at all. In fact, Sharia is at the basis of many Muslim countries' constitutions, but it isn't strictly applied. So perhaps not too much to be worried about just yet.
All right, now after Libya, could France be about to embark on yet another military campaign?
Well, you would think it would be surprising, but according to the Nouvel Observateur, there are thoughts out there about embarking on a military campaign in Somalia. Now, Kenyan troops are involved in fighting the Shabab, the Islamist militia, in the south of Somalia at the moment. And remember, a French woman by the name of Marie de Dieu died while being held captive by the Shabab militia a couple of weeks back. Another French hostage is being held by the Shabab by the name of Denis Alex. Now, that's probably a pseudonym. It's thought that he's a member of the French Secret Service. He's been held since Bastille Day, that's the 14th of July, 2009. And so France has a military base in Djibouti. That's not too far from Somalia, with some 2,000 troops. And they might now lend their help to Kenyan troops in the south of Somalia.
All right, now the Huffington Post is soon to be launched here in France. And it's going to have a familiar face at the helm.
That's right, the Huffington Post French edition, or Le Huffington Post, in participation or in collaboration with Le Monde, might be led by none other than Anne Sinclair. Now, she is best known for being the wife of Dominique Strauss-Kahn, some might say the long-suffering wife of Dominique Strauss-Kahn, and she left her career as a television presenter at the TF1 network, the biggest television station in France, in the early 90s, because she was so closely associated with then the Minister of Finance in the late 90s, at least, Dominique Strauss-Kahn. So perhaps now she's looking to get back into journalism, seeing as it's less and less likely that Dominique Strauss-Kahn will get back into politics. He's most lately been embroiled or being connected to a prostitution ring organised out of Lille. Now, he, of course, denies any connections, but that is yet another scandal that his name has been connected with. So Anne Sinclair might be getting back into journalism as the editor-in-chief of the Huffington Post French edition.
All right, we'll have to watch that one with interest. Now, one person here in France is voicing a little bit of disappointment, shall we say, about the name that was chosen by the French president and his wife, Carla Bruni, for their new baby. Who is this? What have they got against this name?
Julia was the name, Julia with a G, the Italian version of Julia, Carla Bruni, of course, being Italian-born, and none other than Marine Le Pen, the head of the far-right Front National party, thought this was a terrible idea, that they should have chosen a very French name, such as, I don't know, Marine or Jeanne-Marie Marie or something like that for the newborn child at the Élysée Palace. In any case, it's not the first time she's come out with a declaration like this. She has in the past said that children born on French territory should be given a French name to facilitate integration. So she's very, this is a passionate issue for her. Everybody should have a French name. So
Well,
Tom, maybe you could be Thomas as opposed to
Well,
Tom.
I am. That's how I introduced myself here in France.
Well,
but
she'd like you
she was
then.
never likely to have said she liked the name anyway.
No,
so,
right.
Well, let's move on. Finally, the French comic Reynaud had prepared an advert assuming that the French would have been victorious in the World Cup, and unfortunately it wasn't to be, but let's look at that ad anyway.
That's right. No, I'd like to be able to enlarge it for you, but I'll have to explain what it is. Now, this is a menu, if we can take a look at it, and of course, we were presuming that the French would win, an element of, being a little bit presumptuous, perhaps. And so, for starters on this menu, it was going to be cold roast beef. Now, roast beef is an old-fashioned French term for the English, as in roast beef. Leeks for the main course. That was, of course, a reference to the victory over the Welsh. And for dessert, kiwi crumble. Ha ha. Except I suppose it was the French that crumbled, not the Kiwis. So they're smiling out of the other side of their mouth now. But in any case, that ad will never be published. But we're seeing it here leaked in Le Post's website.
All right, well, it is sport after all, so we can be a little humorous.
Exactly.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much
Tom.
indeed, James Creedon, for bringing us up to date. Well, still to come after this break, all the latest from cyberspace. That's in Web News. Do stay tuned for that.
Every week, France 24 brings you all the latest news from the world of sailing and water sports. Follow the action from the major international sailing events. Catch up with the latest technological advances from the boat shows. Join us. Become part of the crew. Connect with the world of sea lovers and water sports enthusiasts. Follow the Call of the Sea with Whirlwinds, Saturday, 12:40 p.m. Paris time on France 24.